That's good. Can you hear me?
Crystal clear.
All right. Welcome to the first episode of Call Center Stories with John Juliano and myself. I'm Eric Sims. Both of us serve as the co-founders and chief officers of Leading Edge Connections, and decided to start doing this little show called Call Center Stories. Being that we've both been in the industry for longer than we care to share, but we'll say this: it's growing close to 2 decades. Um, we have a lot of funny, interesting, and informative stories to share of just things that have happened over the years in previous companies and previous places of work, or with friends, or maybe even with enemies within the industry that we thought would be good to share with people. And hopefully, within that, there's some kind of nugget to take away, or worst case scenario, you get a good laugh about some of the things that happen, can relate to it, and we'll share some news and things like that as well. So, John, thanks for jumping on, man. It's good to do the first episode with this.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. I think there's plenty of stories that will resonate with all of our listeners or viewers that will make them laugh, maybe cry, or maybe think twice about the industry that they've been in for as long as they've been in it.
Yeah, I mean, whether an internal center or a BPO or whatever, like I think working in a call center is a weird world that
Yeah.
you have, if you've never been in one, it really doesn't make sense to you. But if you have in some capacity at some point in time, you'll understand this kind of wacky, uh, self-abusive, addictive world that we live in, that we all get stuck in. So anyway, it can be really cool, and there's some funny stuff that's going on. But with that, we were talking about news stuff before we started recording, and one of the things that you and I have been kicking around talking about for, I guess, since the Super Bowl was, we started seeing some of these Discover ads being run, that they had, because uh, we've 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 seen this kind of circle jerk of events, with onshore, offshore, nearshore for longer than we care to talk about. And we're in the middle of, not the middle. I'd say we're probably at the end of the last cycle of offshore, offshore, offshore before everybody forgets that they forgot
Yeah.
it did all this, and they go, "Oh, let's bring everything back onshore like we always do every so many years." After we've destroyed our customer experience for long enough, and eroded everything. But I was like, I found one of the commercials. I was going to share it. Let me share my screen real quick, because I thought this one's pretty dang funny. Hopefully the sound comes through.
Discover customer service. This is Maya.
Oh, hi, Maya. You robots are sounding more human every day.
Oh, I am human.
Yeah, it's like I'm talking to a human.
At Discover, everyone can talk to a human representative.
All right, prove it.
Wait, are you a robot?
Oh. How would I prove that I'm not?
24/7 US based customer service.
Do you feel like a robot?
It pays to discover.
Yeah. So
I
that's
love
the that's the part that I thought was well, the whole thing's, it's a great commercial, right? Like, customer service commercials normally suck. I thought that one was really creatively done from their part. But they at the end, you see him say US based, 24/7 US based customer service only, or something like that. So they're starting to promote the fact that that is a benefit, right? Like, that's not just a, and I think that has to do with the fact that right now everyone else is still sitting in the Philippines, near shore, India, maybe if you're lucky, Jamaica, where you've got some decent servicing going on, or if you've lucked out and found a somewhere in Mexico that's got some good, some people in it. But as a whole, I don't know. My opinion's always been most of it, outside of a few things, are statistically not good. But anyway, I thought that was cool how they did it.
Yeah, I think Discover is definitely pulling away from the pack in terms of like the FinServe companies, right? Like if you take a look at American Express or some of those other companies that are out there that are prestige cards, you know, the card itself may have some perks, but if you ever need help on your account, good
Ooh.
freaking luck. You're calling into a cheap BPO in India, and you're getting the worst experience possible. And Discover finally, I think, realized and had the epiphany and said, you know what? The hell with it. We're going to bring it back stateside where we know we can get the best service.
Well, I mean, dude, I mean, I talk to people all the time and they ask me like, what do you do? So when I explain to them what we do, their first thought is, oh, so you're those people, right? Either A, they think we're the ones that call them on the phone all the time. I have to explain to them like, no, we're not, we're not the outbound telemarketing firm. Nothing against those because there's businesses that do it. But we're customer care. And they're like, oh, like, so your people are all over in the Philippines or India. And I'm like, no. Our people are all US. And I was like, they're like, oh, wow. Like then all of a sudden they perk up because they're like, that must be great because most of the time when I call my cell phone company or my credit card company, I get, the first thing I do when I hear that freaking accent that's so thick that I can't understand them is I just go, ugh, and
Yeah.
it's an immediate, frustration for most people out there. Like, some people have I mean, dude, I'm in the business. I immediately shut down when I'm like, it's like, I'm not going through this where I have to repeat myself 10 times and also where they have to repeat themselves. Like I can't understand when they're talking to me. So
Yeah.
again, I'm sure that there are some other centers out there that cover it. But anyway, Discover's thing with it's pretty funny, pretty cool. That they're pushing that.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a story about American Express, right? Like your experience dealing with them.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got my card, but I've threatened to cancel it so many times. But yeah, dude, they're awful. Like when I was growing up, American Express was like, and it may have been like, and I'm older, right? But it was like if you had an American Express card, it was like you had made it. Like back, I grew up in the 70s, right? Like 70s and 80s. So like when you were an adult, if you had an American Express card, it was like some kind of level of achievement, right? Which I get, like that's kind of gone away because they give them away. Most everybody can get them now. They're not as hard to get as they used to be. But with that became all like it was American Express. Like the service was top notch, the customer service was top notch, the perks were top notch. Like there was a reason you paid that fee every year to have the American Express card, right? Like there was a purpose behind it. And now like dude, like when I call those guys and I get the runaround and I can't get answers, like we opened a business card with them several years back. You and I did.
Yep.
And this is probably the story you're talking about. And they gave us this, they don't give you a limit. They give you some type of random algorithm that no one can understand how they calculate it, including their own teams, and they can't tell anybody or share that with you. So at all times, there's this like unknown circumstance of like, have I hit my limit or not? Will this hit my limit? And we're putting business stuff on there, right? Like, there's 10,000 here, 20,000 there, 30,000 here. In 1 month, like we can put $85,000 on the card or $100,000 on the card, and the next month they're turning down $2,000 payments, right? And nobody can explain it. Like they're like, nope, and it's getting paid off every month. Like you're like, I don't understand. I just gave you $100,000 like 2 weeks ago. The card has nothing on it. Last month we could put $80,000 on it. This month we could put 5. The next month was 60. The next month was 7. You're like, you can't run a business like this. And again, the most frustrating part for me was going through this like circle jerk issue of talking to 90 people in 12 different countries who most of which I couldn't understand and all of which could not explain to me what was going on. Like I'll work within the parameters, just give me the parameters and nobody could give them to me. I finally got a US agent after my, I don't know, 1100th call. And she was like in Louisiana, I think is where the girl was. Fantastic. Had a great conversation. She finally explained to me that, at least in great detail, that no one could explain it to me, that no one, within the customer service world was going to have the answer for me. So we pretty much quit using the American Express card. It just sits there now. We use for like very little interactions. We moved over to Visa. God bless Visa. God bless Discover. And we take all our points and all our business over there. So yeah, but it speaks to, yeah, like that whole world is like, if you want people to use your stuff, or buy your stuff, which, that's what you're doing when you're using a credit card. I'm buying money from you for a fee, right?
Yeah.
Which makes me the customer. I think there's a lot of confusion in that world too, like who the actual customer is. Like, um, then service your customer in a way that they can be educated, informed, and have a good experience.
Yeah. No, I think I loved hearing the story when it first happened, just because the level of passion in your voice when you first
It's
called.
not, it wasn't passion. I lose my mind when this stuff happens. Like I totally lose my shit. Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm because I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. I'm like, I don't understand. Like the world is not this complicated. This is just another example of taking something that's extremely simple and making it extremely stupid because three guys in a big, tall building somewhere had an idea that they didn't run by anybody. And they only looked at like a very narrow lens of finances and said, oh, look, 38, bad. $22 good, like, oh, me make decision. And then they make a global call, and you're like, over the course of time, they lose money, they lose customers, they piss people off, they lose business, right? If I'm not the only one, because I've gone online and looked, there's ample other people out there that maybe spend more money than we do, or maybe don't, that are having the same complaints with those guys. So anyway, I don't want to turn this into a rant about American Express.
No. My
But
hopes are they don't turn into Diner Club, but let's move on to
we can move on. Diners Club, yeah, baby. So anyway, yeah, but that's why I like the Discover thing. Like Discover's out there saying it, like, and I don't have any attachment to Discover. I don't even have a Discover card, but I don't have any attachment to them other than I was like, hey, what a great way to market. Like just making something that's kind of subtly there that says, hey, we know this is a frustration for all of you. We're not, blind to it or deaf to it. And to fix that, hey, yeah, it's credit card. Yeah, but here's what we'll do. You can talk to people in your own country with language that you can both understand. Again, I'm sure it's frustrating for agents who, are elsewhere. I mean, I've got my opinion on that too, because most of them stay locked in a building, because they don't have like workers' rights like we do over here. So, but anyway, I digress. We'll get on to something else.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point of this like segment that we do is funny or interesting call center stories. Maybe one day to be a coffee table book. If there's still books, maybe to be a digital. So I wonder if they'll make a digital coffee table book on a digital coffee table. You used to make coffee tables,
drinking,
and then they used to make books, right? And so I wonder if they turned. I'm gonna give somebody an idea. What if you made a coffee table for an office that was digital, and instead of laying the book on there, you laid, like a touch screen, and you could pick your coffee table book to display on the coffee table.
I'm sure they have that in the metaverse.
Maybe some guy will call me 20 years from now and tell me he made $4 billion off that idea.
Yep.
But
bless
anyway,
him.
so I don't know if you got any stories you were thinking of or want to start with.
I've got a number of stories, but one that comes to mind. This was, I'm not going to name names of companies, but this was,
I don't want to embarrass anybody, but
yeah, this was about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And I was in a center that was in a very rural town. And typically in like brick and mortar call centers, for those who don't know, most of the time BPOs will have a brick and mortar in like this rundown area, underserviced area, because they can get incentives and breaks and things of that nature, right? So this particular call center was quite the opposite. It was in the very like country farmland of New York. And every morning when I'd walk into my office, I would see a little post-it note taped to my door with a bed bug taped to it. And I always wondered what the hell is going on here? Like, why do I have bed bugs taped to my office door? So I was site director of the facility, so it was my responsibility to like make sure that the facility was running and that everybody was performing, et cetera, et cetera. So I go down and I talk to my head of HR at the time, and I'm like, I said to her, I said, what is going on here? Like every morning I get these yellow post-it notes with these little, I didn't know what the hell they were. I've never seen a bed bug before.
Right.
So I said, these little bugs on here. And they said, and she said, well, these are bed bugs. We have an infestation on the call center floor. We've had it for years, never been addressed, so on and so forth. So it looks like they're just taking it to the next level and taping them to your door now. So good to know. So I call the our head of facilities and I said, well, we got to figure something out here. We got a bed bug infestation apparently. Lo and behold, it was like one half of the call center floor. If you walked out there, because we were 24/7, if you walked out there 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, you would see the team of agents huddled up in their blankets with pillows, taking naps with headsets on, and they would bring their pillows and blankets like an actual like comforter from their house into the call center and fall asleep as they're trying to answer calls. So I immediately I was like, what the hell, who's running the ship here? Like this is freaking nuts. Like why are people sleeping on the call center floor? Well, that was solved, but they were bringing bed bugs from their house into the call center floor, spreading all across the call center. People had bed bug bites, they had all kinds of shit. Um, Again, the we had to have a company come in. And have you ever seen bed bugs like get exterminated, like the process of what they have to do to get rid of these things?
Oh yeah, dude. When I used to run the or help run, I should say, when I was a part of that men's treatment center in Tampa that I helped with for a long time on the side, they had a bad infestation. So it was like it's not like it's a big deal. It's not like, oh hey, we got a couple cockroaches, or hey, there's a wasp nest in the corner. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
it's
no
like
Orkin
termites.
man.
Yeah, it's I would equate it to like worse than termites, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no Orkin man coming to spray the area. Like they have
no.
to actually seal it off and then turn the temperature up to, I forgot what the exact amount is, but they heat up the room to kill off the larva and kill off the bed bugs.
Ugh.
So I was every morning I would like walk by this thing and they did it for a week straight and just the smell and the disgusting, like it was I could still smell and taste it to this day. It was that powerful. But anyways, they had to do that to get rid of them. So they did that. 2 weeks later, we have another freaking infestation that hit, and this just perpetuated and kept going on for I don't know 3, 4 years that I was there. Uh, but like that's one story that like resonates with me to say, you know, if I owned that company, if I ran that call center, I would have done things a little bit differently to not have that happen. Um,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
I mean, it's a challenge of I've been in centers where they've had that issue, or at least the companies had that issue with some of their centers, and it's like a lot of things that are like that. Once it starts, it's really hard to permanently get rid of them. But the shit that goes along with that, like um like people taping bugs to the
Yeah.
door and stuff like that. Yeah,
Try having a conversation with your client because half your call center floor is shut down to say,
yeah,
hey, we have to change our hoops now because we're
yeah.
servicing this side.
Can't
We're
answer your calls because
by the way,
the bed bugs are awake.
yeah,
But our new hoop hours, apparently bed bugs sleep at a different time. We can have them come in here. I
yeah,
get it, dude. It's
yeah,
um it's I don't know. It's
yeah.
I'd never seen, like I said, it goes on the list of like stuff in other industries I'd never experienced, or businesses I'd never seen was that. But when you're bringing like that many people into like these rooms like they do, I mean, we that's one of the many reasons you and I made LEC the way we did. What it's like, it's just another challenge. Like you've got a building, wherever, you got hundreds, if not thousands of people have to come in every day. And in that, you've got to figure out a way to keep air and everything else clean for those massive amounts of people on a budget that is not conducive for that. Like it really needs to be run like, like they would run like an arena, right? Like with how they do that with all the traffic they have in an arena or an entertainment, like a movie theater or something like that. And they don't. I remember like cleaning crews were minimal a couple times a day, and I'd be like, dude, we've got droves of people coming in every day. This thing needs to be. I came out of the health club industry, right? Like in the health business that I ran. And I could say this thing because back in the day they were really good. It was 24 Fitness I worked with for a long time, right? And I was in their heyday when they were growing. Mark Masteroff was the owner. It was nice, right? Like the clubs were nice back then. That was the biggest push was white glove audits. And I would equate the traffic on the two businesses, like from that standpoint, is about the same. We had full-time cleaning people cleaning all the time just to keep it normal. Most of these sites had a cleaning person cleaning once, and if you were lucky, twice a day.
Yeah, I
Right?
don't know about your cleaning crew, but the cleaning crews that I've experienced usually walked around carrying a giant 40 of Four Loco, and they're sweeping they're sweeping the carpets and mopping the carpets, and
I don't know.
what the hell's going on, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, bed bugs, first episode. Great. Did it have a happy ending to it? Did the bed bugs finally leave, or did they just like
No.
carry everybody off?
No, they stayed for as long as I stayed, and then when I left, they moved facilities, so they were no longer in that building.
Just burn it down. Put the
This is
zombies.
torture. Yeah.
All right. Well, so hey, if you're looking for a call center, this is a great tip to take away. If you're looking for a call center and you're thinking about getting a brick and mortar call center, check are there bed bugs in that facility now? B, have there ever been bed bugs in there before? Because they come back. And here's the thing: if you ask the agents in the place, just walk out and ask them. Don't do it when you're on a tour when somebody's showing you the place, because they dog and pony all that stuff. They'll show you only the agents they want you to see. But go out and talk to someone on the floor and find out, have you guys ever had bed bugs? They'll be happy to tell you. They may even show you some bites. So be ready.
Yeah.
But you'll find out real quick because it does impede their coverage ability. Like, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, funny story. I don't know if that one's even funny. It's more a sad story. Poor employees that were in there. So, all right, we'll be back next time with more call center stories. Thanks for watching.